Imagine an alien accountant lands on Earth and asks you one simple question. How much does your planet owe? The answer? $324 trillion.
Wait, what?
$324 trillion. That's a 3, a 2, a 4, and then 12 zeros after it. That's roughly 3 times the entire GDP of planet Earth. If you stacked that in $1 bills, you'd have enough to pave a road from Earth to Pluto and back, twice. Now the alien asks a follow-up question. Okay, but who do you owe it to? And here's where it gets weird. The answer is yourselves. Every country basically owes money to other countries, banks, pension funds, and their own citizens. It's like a giant game of hot potato, except the potato is on fire and nobody's allowed to drop it. And here's the biggest paradox of the modern world economy. It's not money that drives everything, it's debt. So where did this all come from? How did we end up here? And could we ever live without it? Let's rewind. Most people assume it started with barter. You know, caveman logic. I have fish, you have berries, we trade, everybody wins. That's basically what Adam Smith taught us.
The godfather of economics. Smart guy. Scottish, very serious portrait. But here's the problem. An American anthropologist named David Graeber went and actually studied hundreds of ancient societies, Sumerians, indigenous tribes, medieval villages, and you know what he found? Zero evidence of barter-based economies. Like none. Barter happened with strangers, people you didn't trust, but inside communities, they used something much more familiar. IOUs, little carved sticks or clay tablets that basically said, you give me a goat today, I'll give you 2 lambs after my sheep gives birth. Sound familiar? That's basically a credit system in 3000 BC. Think about it this way. Every small town in America has that one guy, you know who I'm talking about, the neighbor who borrowed your lawnmower in 2019 and still hasn't returned it. Borrowed $20 from Dave to pay back Mike, borrowed $50 from Mike to pay back someone else.
Owes everybody, somehow still showing up to the block BBQ. That guy existed in every village throughout all of human history. And if regular people were doing this, kings and governments were doing the same thing, just with fancier paperwork. Picture a medieval ruler. He needs money, always. For food his region can't grow, for ships, for armies, for a castle with a good view of his enemies. But harvests are slow. Taxing the peasants has a ceiling, and going to war to steal from neighbors doesn't always work out, especially if the neighbors have walls. So who solved this problem? Italian bankers, specifically Venice. Around the 12th century, they invented something called government bonds. The state basically said to its citizens, give us 100 coins now. We'll pay you back with 5% interest at the end of the year, but don't ask for your 100 coins back early. That's it. That's the blueprint. That's what we now call treasury bonds. Same concept, 800 years later, still running. Fast forward to 1944, World War II is winding down, and here's where America enters the story, in a big way. During the war, the safest place on Earth to store gold was the United States. We weren't getting bombed flat like Europe, so by the time the war ended, the US was sitting on 70% of the world's gold reserves. So the America walks into the Bretton Woods conference and basically says, listen guys, your economies are wrecked, your currencies are worthless, ours pretty solid. So here's the deal, we tie the dollar to gold, you tie your currencies to the dollar. You need gold? Bring us dollars, we'll swap. Simple. $35 per ounce of gold, locked in, done. And the world said yes, because honestly, what choice did they have? But here's where it gets spicy. America quietly realized something. If everyone's using your currency, you can print more of it, and the inflation gets spread across the whole world, not just you. It's like being the guy who splits the dinner bill but gets to order the lobster. So, America printed and spent. Wars, covert operations, social programs, all on the tap. And then, in 1971, President Nixon walks up to the microphone and says, we're closing the gold window. The dollar is no longer tied to gold. Thanks, everyone. Good luck out there. And just like that, money became a promise, backed by nothing physical, just vibes, just trust. From that moment, the entire global economy runs on one thing: faith. Not gold, not resources, not productivity. Faith. Here's how the loop works. You put money in a bank, the bank lends it to the government spends it on roads, salaries, hospitals. That money flows back to workers and businesses. Workers put it back in the bank. Round and round it goes. Nobody's actually paying off the debt. Nobody's supposed to. The debt isn't meant to be paid off. It's meant to keep moving, like a fountain. The pump pushes water up, it falls down, the pump pushes it up again. It's the same water, just recycled. The only fuel that keeps the pump running? Belief that the system works.
So what happens when that belief breaks down? We've seen it before. Greece, 2012. Bond yields spiked to 30% because investors panicked and started dumping Greek bonds for whatever they could get. Greece had two options: print money and destroy their own currency, or go beg the IMF for an emergency loan with brutal conditions attached. They lost 25% of their GDP. Youth unemployment hit 60%. Venezuela tried option one, just print. In 2016, they went full money printer mode. By 2018, inflation was over 1,000,000% per year. 1 million. Their currency became basically decorative paper. The government had to reset the currency 3 separate times. Sri Lanka, 2022, borrowed too much, economy didn't grow, currency collapsed, dollar-denominated debt became impossible to repay. The country ran out of fuel, medicine, and electricity. People waited in line for hours just to get gas. The president literally fled to the Maldives. And here's the extra cruel part for developing countries. They have to borrow in dollars because nobody wants their currency, but they collect taxes in their own currency. So when their currency drops, their dollar debt explodes. It's a trap that tightens itself. When people sense the system wobbling, they don't wait around. They run to things you can't print: gold, real estate, land, hard assets. In 2025, gold jumped 26% in just 6 months, hitting all-time highs. Meanwhile, the dollar index dropped over 9%. People quietly moved from paper promises to something they could actually hold.
Now, could we ever just stop? Stop living in debt? Just spend what we actually have? As an individual, sure, skip the financing, save up, buy it with cash, no payments, no interest, no stress. Totally doable. As a country, that ship has sailed. If the US government said tomorrow, no more bonds, no more borrowing, we're done, here's what would happen. Current obligations couldn't be paid. Salaries, pensions, defense, interest rates would explode. Investors would flee. Markets would crash. And it wouldn't be a recession. It would be a collapse. Because debt is the oxygen of the modern economy. The word sounds scary, but it's the foundation of everything. Banks, pension funds, insurance companies, all of it. 70% of US government debt, by the way, is owned by Americans themselves. It's not China holding us hostage. It's your grandmother's retirement fund. So here's where we land. Debt works as long as people believe in it, as long as there's always a new borrower willing to take on yesterday's debt. It's a system built entirely on trust. And trust is fragile. All it takes is one person to stand up and yell, "The curtains are made of cardboard," and everyone runs for the exit at once. Right now, we're living in a moment where that faith is being tested. Countries are quietly looking for alternatives. Gold is rising. Dollar dominance is being questioned. The cracks are showing. Where does it all lead? Nobody knows.
So who do we actually owe? The answer is simple and a little unsettling. We owe each other. And here's the strangest part. This entire system only works because nobody stops believing in it. It's all held together by one thing: the belief that tomorrow it will still work. And as long as no one hits stop, the game keeps going.
But one thing is certain: we are living through genuinely historic times. Stay curious. I'll see you in the next one.